Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. Today I'm going to tell you the main 7 lifts that built my physique. But before I get into it, I want to ask you already now to like and comment on the video for the sake of the algorithm, helping more people see it. I very much appreciate it. So like and let me know if you like this kind of video, what other kind of training related video you want to see, or anything else. So I picked 7 lifts here, and I always get a little bit autistic about it because some of these might not have been the variation I started with, but I would have if I started over, and I might have changed a little bit, So I figure I just put the 7 important ones down and elaborate and talk a little bit about variations and alternatives if I see it's necessary. So the very first exercise I have to start with is the weighted chin-up because, well, it is a favorite in general for me, but it's also, when I started training 5 years ago, pull-ups or negative pull-ups even was the only thing I did every other day. That was 5 sets of negative pull-ups was how I started my training career. But yes, to me, it's the most important back builder, and if you opt for the chin up too, which is my favorite as opposed to the pronated grip, it will hit the biceps more, but it's just the best compound for developing strength and mass in the back all over. I'd say the chin up is more isolated towards the lats and the biceps, which I like because it's all about programming, of course, when you chose an alternative, like what other back exercises do you have. Well, the wider grip is going to spread out the stimulus a little bit more on like the mid-back, upper back muscles as well, but the chin-up will hit those as well. And it's just, if you compare this to something like a lat pull-down with like a close supinated grip, that's a good exercise too, but it's just one tier below. It's more of a secondary exercise. It's just something about the leverage when you're pulling yourself up with extra weight, and the stretch at the bottom just gets better. And as all the good natural lifters know, stretch mediated hypertrophy is a thing, and exercise with a good stretch is always good for hypertrophy. So weighted chin up, a favorite for me, but absolutely the weighted pull up, this grip, wide grip pull ups even, are good alternatives as well. It all depends on your overall programming. So the next exercise is the incline bench press, not the regular flat bench press. So when I started, I definitely built a lot of my chest with the flat bench, and it's a good exercise, and if you like it, I'm not telling you not to do it. I just think that for the flat bench, we're aiming more of the mid-chest or chest development all over. And I'm just thinking, while it is a good exercise, you can definitely build a good chest with it, there are better alternatives on a like a flat angle like that, to me. Like, we're going to come to it later. We're going to come to that later. So basically, why I like the incline bench press more is it's both because when I talk about or think about what I think is most important with aesthetics, I think most of us men, I've heard Michael Hearn say this too, that the lower chest is more naturally developed, and the upper chest is where we're lacking more. And I just feel like the incline bench press hits the upper chest so well, and a little bit more front delt. But that's the thing, all presses will hit the front delt to some extent, all pressing, it's always. And this is why I just feel like both that it's more important to emphasize the upper chest. I'm actually flat benching now just because I have a strength goal there, but when we're talking physique, I think the incline bench press is much more important for overall aesthetic development than the flat bench. I feel the flat bench, often if you want to target mid-chest, there's just often more better alternatives, but I don't really see a much better alternative to the incline bench press with a barbell. So it's both that I think the upper chest is more important for aesthetic development. When you think about my physique, I think is the yoke, the shoulders, the upper back, but also the upper chest that really makes the look, And the flat bench just targets the upper chest so well. And it just does, when you compare the exercises, what you're looking to get from a flat bench and a incline bench, I just feel like you're getting what you're looking for more with the incline bench. And the upper chest, it's kind of like the front traps. See if I can dig that picture up, but kind of if you have the sun from the back and see your shadow in front of you and you have good upper chest development, it almost looks like you have front traps there. So the next exercise is wide grip rows I put, because it can be different variations. And I didn't start with seal rows, but that quickly became my favorite when they got a seal row machine or bench, in my gym. So what I feel is lacking, what I see is lacking in most people's back training is, people will pull from different angles, which is good, and then we'll use both the bilateral, using both hands, or unilateral, one side at a time exercise. That's good. But what I feel is missing for a lot of people is this wide pull, because it's a much weaker position, and you kind of have to put yourself there, like not only take a wider grip, but actually not pull in your strokes, but actively think of pulling with your elbows high. But this, when you do it, what you hit more of is you hit way less lats and isolated upper, mid-back and rear delts. And so I really like to do a seal row with a wide grip and pulling with flare elbows, because the stretch, again, with the weight at the bottom is so good. But there are alternatives. You could, for instance, do a seated row, having a wide grip. I even do a variation when I go to sit behind the sitting pad. I use that chest support to pull like that. So really wide grip rows with flare elbows, but the seal row would be my favorite. So next up is dumbbell presses. And I put ring push-ups in parentheses, because again, the flat bench, absolutely good chest builder, but it's just that for most people, if just developing the chest and not just overall pressing strength is the goal, there are exercises that might be better for that. And the dumbbell press, what you get, so the function of the chest is, of course, to pull the upper arm towards the center. And even if our hands are fixed on a barbell, of course that happens to some extent. But with dumbbells, we can just get a more pure movement like that. So we're going to especially remove a little bit of triceps and a little bit of front delta out of movement and be able to get a better chest contraction. And so I noticed how good of a chest builder this was when I was way more of a rookie and I hurt my shoulder and barbell pressing didn't really work for a while. Dumbbells did though, and I could just feel like I had, even if I had developed the chest with a barbell, because of course you will if you get stronger, but I just felt like, yeah, I'm definitely using my chest in a more isolated way. And then it's just that later on I picked up that ring push-ups have a similar benefit. You can, you don't just press with hands fixed like that. You can actually press them in towards the middle, get a better squeeze like that. The ring push-ups also, they're just a great exercise. They will put some stress on your core. It will actually work the shoulders a lot for the stabilization. And this you can of course do weighted at different angles in that as well. But yes, dumbbell presses as a good, more like overall or mid-chest builder there. And I should say, I say that at the end really more, but of course there are other exercises to just fine-tune and get more volume in, but I'm focusing on what I think, what I've focused most on to build my physique. Next up is deadlifts, and this is one of those where when I started, I mostly did just regular old, standard conventional deadlifts from the floor. I'm not sure if I can even dig up a video of that now because it's been so long since I did that, but that definitely developed just my entire posterior chain, hamstrings, glutes, lower back, upper back. That's the funny thing. A lot of people don't realize, because you don't really shrug at the top, but just a big stretch from the weight, holding all that weight, and like working isometrically as you keep yourself upright when you pull it from the floor, that will grow the traps a lot. Conventional deadlifts might even grow the quads a bit. I think it did for me when I was a rookie. I wouldn't say it's a go-to quad builder, but just saying that you hit a lot with it. But then from a conventional deadlifts are great even for bodybuilding and that, but again, if hypertrophy and isolating certain muscles is our goal here, there are variations that I like more, like stiff-legged deadlifts or RDLs, Romanian deadlifts. Depending on who you ask, they are kind of similar. I will say I think a stiff-legged deadlift is kind of more like a conventional deadlift where you just remove the leg drive, remove the quads at the start, while Romanian deadlift is more about really, really isolating the hamstrings, in my opinion. But these are just good. These are just great for, you know, taking the quads out of the equation and really just focusing on that posterior chain. With the stiff-legged deadlifts, I feel like I yoked up my upper back a lot, but even the lower back and the glutes and hamstrings quite a bit. So deadlifts, all deadlifts that you train in like the 5+ range, rep range, are going to be good for muscle development, but I would prefer in most bodybuilding splits a stiff-legged deadlift or a Romanian deadlift. Next, I put the back squat because I definitely built most of my leg mass with just regular old back squats, but I've since come to prefer front squats or and I should say high bar back squats, not the powerlifting low bar squat, but safety squat bar squats, and especially when you have the side things, the cambers. I think you call it, well, dark I got. Have I been there for a while? Yeah, sun, it's got cloudy. But yeah, you have the side things, the cambers, I think you call them, pointing forwards on the safety squat bar. It actually makes it kind of like a front squat, but you have the weight on your neck still. But these, I feel like they hit the quads more, and the core more, actually. But really, the point here is, I'm saying back squat, I built great quads with that, but look for, I think from a squat, when we build muscle, what we're looking mostly for is building our quads and the glutes. The glutes are always gonna, you know, we can't remove the glutes from any squat, back squat or front squat, but we can pick a variation that just hits our quads more, especially if we're more hip dominant, you know, and work a lot with our glutes and lower back. You know, it's almost a hip hinge squatting movement. So for you, that might be a front squat that makes that better, a safety squat bar, like I said, but also something like a heel elevated squat, just to be able to, if that helps you stay more upright, it will target the quads more. So the back squat definitely did a lot for me, but I've since come to prefer the front squat or safety squat bar squat. Last one I put is an upright row, actually. And this is because I feel like a lot of people say like, oh, the rear delt, you need to focus on the rear, the back delt for full delt development. And of course, you have to have all the heads developed. I just feel like with good pushing programming, we're gonna develop the front delt a lot. With good pulling programming, with, you know, with our wide grip rows too, we're gonna develop the rear delt a lot. And it's the mid delt that sort of gets left out a little bit. There are other, all pressing above the head are gonna target not only the front but the middle as well. But it's really that side lifting motion. So lateral raises are great. I've done a bunch of those too. It's just that the upright row, we get a chance to actually overload with more weight. And this is one, oh, it's a dangerous exercise. It's not really. There are no dangerous exercises, just stupid people. If an exercise might be a little, okay, it's an internally rotated position, just feel, does this work for me? If you start to experience some pain, swap it out for a while, opt for a wider grip so you don't get as much internal rotation or something. And I would say you don't only have to do this with a bar. I've done it with a cable too. I've done it lying down in the seated row and pulling there even. But this is just a great, like not compound, but not just an isolated lateral raise, but actually a very heavier exercise that still mainly focuses on the mid delt. I should say the rear delt probably needs to be isolated too. Maybe the front delt if we want full shoulder development. I just feel like the middle head needs some extra love for that full development if your overall programming is good. But yeah, this is really the main source of my physique. What I would say are the main lifts. But as I mentioned there in the middle, of course, for developing a good physique, you can't just pick this is gonna do a lot if you get good at these exercises, progressively overload and eat well. You're gonna, build a good physique, but to emphasize weak points, get in more volume, get more full development. There are certain muscles that get a little bit like forearms, calves, abs. To some extent, yeah. To some extent, you're gonna hit them with some of these exercises as well. But the point is, this is just a sort of foundation that I would recommend a lot. If you like my physique and you feel like you want to build a similar one, you know, these are definitely key lifts for me. But then you need, of course, to fill the rest of your program with good, like the good programming overall, but, you know, other exercises for that extra volume and hitting everything from every angle, stimulating in every way possible. So I, of course, coach these things and more. The Uncommon Sense Fitness is not just a fitness program. You can reach me on Instagram, send me a DM or email me. It's all in the description below. If you're interested to hear about my options in coaching, please consider becoming a member of the channel or otherwise supporting me and my content. Also in the description below. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Get jacked. Peace.